after that, so.
If I can do a quick little, so everybody should be able to spend some time now looking for the mute button if you're on a computer, or another device. Not if you've dialed in. If you're not speaking, try to mute yourself. If there's background noise, I'll take care of that, but it's a lot easier if I don't have to keep looking for where that's coming from. There is a raise hand function.
Where is, I don't see that. Where's that?
I think you hit your picture and it shows up.
So if you go on, find my picture.
No, I don't see it on that either.
So it depends on what system you're on. If you have the participants list open on the right, on the bottom, you should see it. If you don't see it, there's 3 little dots and it's there.
Yep.
2 little dots.
If you have the participants list open. If you don't, you go down to the bottom and click on participants, and on the right side of your screen
Oh,
should be
yeah, there it is. Says raise hand. Okay, good.
Click on participants, you said?
Click on participants on the bottom, and then on the participants list,
Gotcha.
on the bottom right, you should see a raise hand function.
Okay.
We do.
Bottom
That's
right.
correct.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Let's just wait a few more minutes, like a half hour.
The other thing to remember is this is not only here, but this is also being live streamed. This live stream is currently live. There's no audio right now, and the agenda is up.
Okay, thank you.
So right before you're ready to start, just let me know so I can switch to the view of this and correct the audio.
Okay, we'll just wait. It's 7 o'clock now on my laptop, so we'll wait another 3 minutes for people to get on, and then we will get started.
You said after you click the participants on the far right.
On the bottom right, the bottom right.
I see, what's it say?
Raise hand. Raise hand.
There's a smiley face.
No, down at the bottom. Does it say raise hand?
Now, hang on. I don't think if you come all the way down to the bottom with your cursor, there's a microphone to mute or unmute, the camera, secure, and then participants. Click on that list of participants. Everybody's name should show up on the right side.
Yes.
Let me do it again. Yes, I see everybody's name on the right side.
Now look at the bottom of that.
Says invite, mute, raise hand. I'm sorry.
Raise hand.
My camera was blocking. Thanks.
No worries. iPhone guest, who is that with the hand up?
It was me.
Didn't raise my camera.
Gerard's hand is up.
Raise your hand. Joel Traub, can you just raise your hand? Thank you. That was Joel. So.
Gerard, your hand is up. Do you want it up or you want me to lower it?
There you go.
Thank you.
Hey, Jerry.
Hi, Bob.
Okay.
102.
Very excited.
All right, it's 7:02. Unless there's some objection, I propose we commence Community Board 2's first virtual meeting using Zoom.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, just say the word. Put the agenda up.
Good to go.
Thank you. Okay, I'm looking for the agenda. But first I want to thank everybody to CB2's first virtual Community Board 2 meeting for May. And we'll probably do this in June, but we'll talk more about that later. So I just want to have a small flag here. If everybody want to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, so go back to the agenda for a moment. Which I don't see, but that's okay.
Attendance.
Yes, I'm looking for, waiting for the agenda to come up. I want to make sure we don't miss something. Okay, Teresa, would you take attendance, please? Teresa,
She's muted.
Muted.
can you unmute and take attendance?
I unmuted everybody. That's on her side.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. AJ. Alifi. Barbaskin. Balzano. No internet's there. How come she's not answering?
She on mute?
I don't know.
I am on mute. I'm here. Hi, Teresa.
Okay. Clift.
Wait a minute. They must all be on mute. That's why they're not answering.
Cognata.
You got to tell them to star 6.
I know she's there.
You just gotta wait for them to unmute.
Colegio.
Here.
DiTrapani. Dolan.
I'm here.
Gomez.
Here.
Fagan. Freeman. Here. Hello. Hi. Garlisi. Here. Genovese. Denta. Hennessy. Jones. Ken. Khalid. Bagaza. Danza. Liss. Markowski.
Yeah.
McNamara. Mendy.
Here.
Nina Vaggi.
Here.
Orlando. Pacifici. Robert Pacifici.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Corral. Raju. Ruggiero.
Here.
Dalek. Santoro.
Here.
Seminara. Sheen. Proud.
Here.
Triano here. Bishio. Loklo. Wild. Here. Federico.
Here.
Zabinski. Okay.
Is there anyone who's here we did not call? Please let Teresa.
Yes, Roseanne Clift.
Oh, I told you she didn't hear. Okay, I'll change it to yes. Okay.
Anyone else? Going once, twice? Okay. Thank you, Teresa. You were all provided with the agenda from Deborah a couple of days ago, so if we want a motion to accept the proposed agenda for tonight's meeting.
I make a motion to accept.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry seconds.
I second Antoinette.
Okay, the agenda is adopted. Thank you. All right, so let me just move into item 4 on the agenda, which is the chair report. First and foremost, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, I just wanted to thank everyone for showing up here at the meeting tonight. We made history for CB2. This is the first virtual meeting that we had, and until we get some clarity and some guidance, we'll probably be doing this for a while longer. So unless I'm notified otherwise, this is the format and the platform that we will be using, and you'll hear from Debbie on that in the coming days and weeks, I hope. I hope everyone is safe, and everyone that was impacted by this treacherous pandemic has come out on the other side in better shape, and I hope everybody is in good health, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. As far as the etiquette and the etiquette for tonight's meeting, it's the same as if we were in the board office at the Brielle. The only difference here is, as the host mentioned, if you're not speaking, please put your microphone on mute, your video on, if you can do that, if you have that. And if you want to say something or speak, just raise your hand on the bottom right hand of your screen. Next in the participants column, there's a link or a key for raising your hand, and you'll be recognized during the meeting. And we intend to follow the same order that we do on all of our meetings in the past years. So I just wanted everybody to know that. Most importantly, probably one of the most important things that I mentioned tonight, I just wanted to acknowledge the passing of Aunt Finity. You saw some correspondence from Debbie and from me to all of you a few months ago, or a month or so ago, acknowledging it with sadness of our longest serving member. I think that's right. Am I correct, Debbie, right? And Jerry, is she the longest member we have on the board? As you know, Ann always sat next to me, and she always like nudged me or bumped me or asked me questions about things, and I would try to explain everything. She was like our mentor on how to get through the meeting and connected the history with what we were doing at the moment, and I will miss her terribly. I want to dedicate this meeting and the following meetings in her memory and just take a moment of silence to remember Anthony and all the things that she did for the board, whether she was out in front or in the background. She was very effective. So let's just take a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay. I just want to remind everyone, this is the typical nomination meeting. As you know, Ann had this written script that she would follow to the T and to the letter, and we would rehearse it, and she'd make me read it backwards and forwards. And but that baton now has been passed to Teresa, and she'll be talking about that momentarily when we get through the agenda. I want to thank Debbie and for all of her endless dedication with keeping us notified daily, weekly, hourly, by the second, at least me, I'm sure the rest of the board, of all of the things that have been happening and what do we need to do, and what do we need to know, especially all the notices from Notify New York City and the endless information that she provided to us to keep us safe. Debbie, I just want to publicly acknowledge and thank you for all of the work that you've done, and with Cheryl as well. Thank you. I want to thank all board members for your continuing dedication and understanding of working with us and getting us to this point tonight. I mean, this is really remarkable, you know, considering how we sit in the Brielle or at Seaview and conducted our business. This is really a remarkable accomplishment as far as I'm concerned. So I'm really happy that we did it, and I'm confident that we'll get through this and it will work. And if anyone that's on the board in attending does have any technological challenges, please let Debbie know via email. And we'll try to work out everything for the next meeting, which will be the last meeting for FY20. So it's important that we somehow all try to attend. Looking ahead, the June meeting will look just like this one. We'll have the same format and the same setup, and all the correspondence and documentation will be sent out well before the meeting. So that's pretty much all I had to say about that. Our website, I want to personally also thank Zephyr Dumas and Deborah for keeping the website up to date and running, the cb2si.com. That's our portal, where everything you want to know about CB2 is contained there. There are enormous number of links to everything in the city and everything we need to know that you can pass on to people that you may know and need some help about something. But it does have, it's quite comprehensive and it's quite current. And I just want to thank Zephyr and Debbie for keeping all of that up to date. So just watch out for the website for additional updates, because eventually everything, that will be the platform to find out everything about CB2. Since we don't really mail many things out anymore, we don't need to have paper and that sort of stuff. So we'll be relying on the electronic format for all of our business. So I just want everybody to know that. All right, that's all I had tonight on that from the chairman's report. What I'd like to do now is to jump. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Roseanne has her hand up.
Okay, Roseanne. Roseanne?
You have to unmute yourself, Roseanne.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have my hands up. If I do,
Okay.
I don't know how to turn it off.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. All right, thank you. We're going to move along here. All right, so before we get into the official board business, I thought it advisable that we get through the guest speakers and the public session and all the other items on the agenda, and then we'll follow through to the nominations and the back end of the agenda. So it happens tonight that we have a guest speaker or two, perhaps. Assemblywoman Nicole Maliotakis is scheduled to speak to us tonight. So if her representative or she's here, you're up.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see all of you via Zoom, and I look forward to the day when we can be together again. I hope you and your families are healthy and safe, and just wanted to take a few minutes to update you because there's been a lot of, obviously, transition over the period of time that we've been unable to see each other. And by the way, usually I'm in session on a day like this, and so maybe this is a way that we can join you in the future when we're in Albany, and so we could still stay in touch. So basically, things have obviously taken a course here, and we went through the beginning days of, just trying to expand bed capacity and testing capacity, and then being able to ensure that our hospitals had the supplies that they need, the ventilators that they need, and the PPE and all that. I'm very proud of my team that helped distribute tens of thousands of pieces of PPE to our nursing homes and to our hospitals, to our front line. But what I really want to focus on today is where we are at this point, because things are progressively changing quickly. First, I want anyone to know that my office is available if you need assistance. If you have an organization that does need PPE, please feel free to reach out. We will do our best to try to accommodate you if you are in healthcare or you're a precinct or firehouse or whatever. We're here to help you. Secondly, if anyone still needs unemployment assistance, we have helped hundreds of people get through to the DOL through a roundabout route that we have at the state level. So anyone that you know that still may need to get through or is having difficulty, they didn't receive their full payment, or they received maybe the state but they're not getting the federal, just reach out to us and we're happy to help you. My office number is 718-987-0197 for those of you that don't have that information. So, I've been making a push now to try to enter Staten Island into phase one. We've met the metrics. We're hoping that the governor will give us some consideration, at least when it comes to elective surgeries. We have an issue right now where constituents are reaching out saying that they can't get joint replacement surgery, or we're waiting for a mastectomy, or they had kidney blockage, or just various illnesses, and hernia surgery, gallbladder surgery. These are all real life examples, constituents that have reached out. Additionally, people that need endoscopies, colonoscopy, preventive care. I've been meeting with the Medical Society and the Dental Society about all these procedures, and it's really important that we are able to resume these as soon as possible. So being that Staten Island meets the metrics, if the governor's not allowing us to enter phase one without the rest of the city, I'm hoping that he would at least allow us to resume the elective surgeries, because every other county was judged as a county throughout these regions in the state. So, for example, Mid-Hudson, Ulster County started before the other counties in that region. And when you look at Long Island, Suffolk was able to resume elective surgeries before Nassau. So Staten Island's really being treated differently in this regard. With regards to phase one, you're probably hearing from business owners, you're hearing from people that do want to get back to work. And I know it's split, not everyone agrees. But I think at least I'm hoping by next week, if the governor's not going to allow us to resume on our own, having met the metrics, I'm hoping that by next week this will all be resolved. So with that, I wanted to also add that we continue to do what we can to just help people get by at this time. So whether it be the PPE or unemployment, or food drives, I'm working closely with the Kiwanis Club, as well as the Verrazano Kiwanis Club, as well as Miss Richmond County Outstanding Teen. Angela, who's my rep on the board, has been very helpful in helping organize these food drives that we're doing at various churches to help fill their pantries. We've done 4 so far. We're doing the 5th one Friday from 3 to 5 at St. Clair's on Nelson Avenue. So if anyone wants to contribute food, non-perishable items, that would be greatly appreciated. Another thing I just want to point out is the state has set up a mental health hotline. I just think it's important for all of us to get that information out, because obviously many people are dealing with a lot of stress, loss, depression, anxiety. There's a lot going on out there, and we just want to make sure people have the resources, know that they have somebody to talk to. So if you would all share that number on your social media sites, that would be fantastic. 844-863-9314. 844-863-9314. And lastly, tomorrow I've been trying to do my own little Zoom town halls on Facebook. For those of you, please follow my Facebook page. It's where I post regular information updates. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing something with Councilman Borelli, as well as Michael Tanusis, who's an assembly candidate, but he's a former prosecutor, and as well as the detectives union. We're going to be talking about public safety. We'll be talking about some of the policies that have come out of City Hall and state government. We'll talk about some of the changes we achieved that will take effect in July in terms of the bail reform to make it more palatable and better for the community. There were a lot of significant changes We added a number of crimes that now judges just have their discretion restored. It's so important. People that those news articles that you were reading on Staten Island about people committing 6 bank robberies and being released. That's not going to happen anymore. They can be kept. It's up to the judge. They will be able to be kept after multiple times. They won't be able to be released again like that. And we added crimes. We improved things for the DA when it came to discovery. So there were significant improvements. I'm really proud and thank you all. I know last time I spoke to you guys, it was about that issue, and I'm very happy. As long, it doesn't go as far as I'd like, but it certainly was significant considering we had to get the same people that voted it in to make the changes. So that was a success, I would say, and that'll take effect in July. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow on our Facebook town hall. That's at 7. You can go to my Facebook page to watch. That's if I'm not called for a vote tomorrow night, which is very possible. Then we'll have to postpone it. But just keep following my page for the latest information. With that, I'll take questions if anyone has.
Thank you very much for your time, Ms. Simon. We really appreciate that. So what I was thinking of doing, unless we have specific questions in order to move our agenda along, we'll forward questions to you via email from Debbie. This way we don't have to, typically we'd have the clipboard and we know how to organize that. So it's our first meeting. So if you can bear with us,
questions or just send me a Facebook message.
We will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Good luck to you. Thank you. Okay. All right. So Deb, and for the board members, if anyone has any questions for Assemblywoman Maliotakis, please email Deborah and she will get them to the Assemblywoman either through her Facebook page or to her representative who was on the phone here. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's move to the public session for the moment. We got a couple of items that are on traffic and trans and public service. One has to do with the liquor license application. Is Jerry Ruggiero here and Eddie Salick? Okay.
I have an application for the Tri-Lounge and Cafe at 1938 Clove Road. He wants to have a full menu with a full kitchen and recorded music. This establishment was a bar years ago. It's on Clove Road, a little bit past the firehouse, Rescue 5. Years ago it was Dino's Bar, the football player. Then he closed it, and I believe they opened up a bagel store or a deli there. Now somebody else wants to open up a lounge and a cafe. He said he was going to have recorded music, and I have no objections against this. If we have to vote on it, we can vote on it. If not, I think we ought to pass it.
Okay, well, I think unless there was some specific objection, Jerry, did we not want to stipulate that there would be no live music at that establishment?
Yeah, Debbie corrected that with the owner, so it's corrected on the application.
All right, so it's on the application. Go ahead.
You do have a hand up, sorry, Javante.
Yes, I just wanted to let you all know that I was present for a question. So it's the owner of the establishment.
Okay. So if anyone has any questions, raise your hand.
So Javante, it is going to be recorded music and not live music, correct?
Correct.
So we will approve it. We'll vote on it subject to that stipulation, Jerry?
Robert?
Yes?
Robert?
Yes?
Any complaints from the community, or did I miss that?
Jerry said none.
No complaints.
Okay.
It was in the advance, and Debbie didn't receive any complaints.
Anyone else on the board have any questions, or anyone from the public have any questions? Raise your hand, please, so the host can identify it.
Robert, can you hear me?
I can, Eddie, yes. Very good.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my computer.
Okay.
When that was Dino's, we never really had a problem, and the relationship was pretty good with the community board.
Okay. All right, very good, Eddie. Thank you. Host, anyone else raising their hand?
No one else has their hands raised. The telephone, anybody who called in has been unmuted, so.
Okay. All right, Jerry, I propose that we either do this by a voice vote, or if you want to go through the agenda list, the attendance list, it's your choice.
Voice vote is fine. Whatever's easier.
Okay.
Nobody has any objections.
If anyone has any objection to this, please raise your hand on the chat on the right-hand side. Otherwise, we'll assume that it's approved.
Can't do that.
Can't do that?
You hear me, Robert?
I can hear you.
All right, Robert, I do have objections. Every time that we go through this with liquor licenses and everything, it's like we got to kind of look at them, okay? I think a little bit better. I would like to know that we can, okay? As I have gone very, very diligently with Lucy down here, and I want you to understand one thing. They did approve this, committee did approve them having a liquor license.
We did.
They did approve them having a dance license.
Yeah.
I mean, this was almost like ridiculous down here. I just want to know if we can be a little bit more diligent with these. That's all I'm asking.
No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I'll defer to.
I mean, Juicy Lucy actually have their cabaret license, Robert. A cabaret license. Okay? This is going to be a discotheque come June.
Oh. You mean Juicy Lucy or the address on
Juicy Lucy's going to be a discotheque, okay? The way they're planning this right now, it's going to be a discotheque.
All right, Steve, 1 minute. Steve, let us finish adjudicating or going through the matter on the table.
Okay.
And then with no, I hear you. You're right, because I know we've had several issues with that.
Lincoln Avenue was a disaster. Remember, Robert?
Yes. So let us take our action on this one for
exactly.
the record.
I want to thank you, Robert.
Discuss it with Jerry and Ed since it's a
excellent job, Robert.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'll go back to where I was. The only way I can tell, or we can gauge, unless we start screaming and yelling at everybody, unless there's a hand raised in the chat box on the right side, that's the barometer we will use for objections to approving this matter until we figure out something more efficient. Otherwise, we got to go through the attendance list. So the chair of the committee had decided to do the voice vote, so we will go in that direction. I agree with that. So having said that, Mr. Host, are there anyone raising their hands besides Mr. Zboyinski on another matter not related to this particular one, though his issue is related to the process, and he happens to be quite correct, and we'll do that separately. Okay?
Debbie has her hand raised.
Will there be security at this bar? At the door?
Is the applicant here?
Is he still on?
Yes, so it's not a bar, it's a restaurant, and we only plan to serve beer and wine, so there will be no security. There won't be need for security.
Only beer and wine?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And music?
Does that answer your question, Doctor?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't mean to be so anal, but I want to make sure we're not missing something that I don't see because we're not in the same room, okay? Okay. All right, anything else? Any other comments or issues about this matter on the table before I turn it back to Jerry Ruggiero and Eddie Salad?
David Santoro has his hand raised.
David?
Is the liquor license specifically limited to beer and wine?
Yes.
Okay.
That answer your question, David?
Yes. Did I say that before? If I didn't, I'm sorry.
You didn't say anything, Jerry.
Oh, thank you.
All right. All right, one more time. Any other comments or objections before we move this? Because right now I don't know if there are any hands raised. Okay. All right, thank you. The matter is considered approved. Jerry, for the record, do you want to read the application number and we'll just get it in the public record that way? With the stipulations, okay?
There is no application number.
Wait, I have it on don't I have it on the agenda? No, the liquor license number, the app number? Okay. Nope. No, we don't. You're right. Okay. All right, so we'll have to refer to it as 1938
Clove Road. Tri Lounge and Cafe.
Okay. Okay, so
any objections, we should pass this liquor license application.
Okay. No one raising their hands with the stipulation that there'll be no live music or recorded music and so
wine and beer.
Wine and beer as indicated in the liquor license. Thank you. All right, so the matter is approved, Jerry. Thank you. Eddie, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We have the public session. We have Letitia Ramora wants to speak to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, everyone, and I'm glad to see everybody well. Thank you for your service on the community board. I'm here to speak to you today about the WIN homeless shelter at 44 Victory Boulevard. I have recently received word that the Office of Environmental Remediation has received an application from Victory Johnson, who's the owner of the property, to remediate the property after contamination was found on the property. As many of you know, the Staten Island Downtown Alliance has been opposing a homeless shelter anywhere on Staten Island. Number one, because we have 1,000 people identified as Staten Islanders who are homeless, and so that could be taken care of with permanent housing. And number two is we just approved the Bay Street corridor rezoning, which would provide plenty of opportunity for affordable housing in the North Shore, close to all of the transit. So the Downtown Alliance has said no to any homeless shelter on Staten Island, period. But in particular with this site, we had hoped to see permanent housing on this site because it was rezoned to be a tower, but after the environmental review was revealed that there are heavy metals and petroleum and other contamination on this site, we recognize that this site should not only not be used for children and women who WIN is supposed to serve on the shelter site, but it should not be used for habitation at all. And so we are stating, and we have enlisted other civics and the community board one in the area and asked for letters of support to ask the Office of Environmental Remediation to reject the application if it is for the purpose of a residential development of any kind. Of course, we want to see the site remediated. So if the site was remediated for commercial use, that would be acceptable. But since they have put in the application and stated that they want to remediate the site for residential or the shelter use, it's a mixed use, Chairman. It's commercial at the bottom and residential at the top.
Okay.
And it's 200 units, just for anybody that isn't familiar. It's at the corner of Victory Boulevard and Bay Street. It would be 200 units of shelter units for women and for children, so serving 200 families. Okay, so there would be a bathroom and a little area, a kitchenette, if you will, in each room, but everything would be a common space. And at this time in COVID, when we know that the mayor is taking people out of the shelters and putting them into hotels, a shelter is just the wrong idea, period, going forward. But specifically for this site, because it is contaminated with lead and with other heavy metals and petroleums, we're saying no to this site, and we're saying no to a shelter anywhere on Staten Island. So I know this is late notice because tomorrow is the deadline for comments, but I just found out that all of the boards were not notified about this, and I'm not even sure that all the elected officials were notified, because as we went out asking for people to reject this application, we've found that more and more people have not been notified by the city. So again, I'm here to ask board members as individuals, if you would please, I sent all the documents to Debbie Derrico, if you would please consider a quick note saying that you want to reject the application for residential use on the site at any cost.
Or any cost. Okay.
Yeah. And I understand that it's such a short notice, but if you could just get in any commentary to, they're asking for commentary by email, any commentary negative to the shelter, but focused on the environmental impacts, David.
Understood.
Okay. All right. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Letitia. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so before we I comment on Letitia's statement. I just want to make sure there aren't any other public speakers or elected officials that want to speak, and then I'll come back to Letitia's position, and then we can.
Denise from Mike Riley's office.
Hi, Denise.
Could you just ask, can I just ask Letitia, what is the email address where these letters have to be sent?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just hang on a second and I will open it up. Oh, Christ. Hold on just 1 second. Here it is. I didn't expect that I was going to be asked that. Okay, so we are going, the gentleman's name is Shaminder Chawala. It's Shaminder. Last name Chawla. And he is the Deputy Director of the Office of Environmental Remediation. The email is C as in cat, H as in Harry, AWLA at dep.nyc.gov. Now, I would be happy, Denise, to send you copies of the link where you could download all the information, including the documents that show the contamination and what they want to do. So I can get that to you. Can you just give me your email address and I'll send that over?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. What's your email?
Email is Pacheco, that's P as in Peter, A apple, C Charlie, H house, E elephant, C Charlie, O open, D for Denise, at nyassembly.gov.
Perfect. I will send that right over. I'll send you a whole packet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Letitia.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Any other public session speakers that wish to make a statement or a comment on something before I close the public session?
Hi.
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Donald. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcy. This is Donald from City Comptroller Scott Stringer's office. I just wanted to give you all a very quick update on some of the things that we have been working on over the last couple of months. It's definitely been a very difficult time for many folks in our office. I know for all of you, but it is great that we're able to gather virtually for what seems to be the foreseeable future for now. But some quick things. We really have been honing in on a lot of various issues, whether it relates to food insecurity, analyzing data on frontline workers to help inform those who make policy in our city and state to drive various legislation and whatnot. One of the big things that we've been working on is resources for small businesses, and we've been having a series of webinars and town halls. We actually just recently had a small business town hall with the Staten Island Chamber of Commerce and Borough President James Otto to really talk about the realities of what's happening for small businesses in our borough, and to also have a better understanding of what resources are available. To add to that, we also launched a COVID-19 resource center that is really for anyone, a small business owner, a nonprofit, an individual, a freelance worker, whatever you are. It's just a central location where you can get as much information as possible from every single level of government. And we know that information is changing rapidly. And it's been a fantastic resource that we have had up for almost 2 months now. One of the major things that we actually just did was we launched a formal investigation into the city's preparedness and response to the pandemic. And we basically, at this point, just requested documents received, created, or issued by city government officials and agencies related to the public emergency. The comptroller is the chief financial officer and the chief auditor of the city. It is our mandate to investigate city government. And we fundamentally believe that this is not only within our scope, but it is warranted and necessary at this time. So that is something that we did formally launch. We sent a formal schedule of requests for various information. And over the coming months, there definitely will be more on that. And the last thing I want to touch on quickly is our city's budget, which is immensely important and is going to probably be one of the most consequential budgets that we're going to be going through in recent history. And the mayor released his executive budget a couple of weeks ago. We crunched the numbers on that And what we basically find is a revenue gap of $8.7 billion, which we expect to rise. And the mayor is looking to close that gap by a mixture of pulling from reserves the city has, expected federal aid, and the PEG program, which is something called the Program to Eliminate the Gap. We have concerns with all three of these ways in which the mayor is seeking to close the gap. The comptroller has long said that we need to be saving more, to put more away into a dedicated reserve fund so that we can have money during times like this. And unfortunately, over the years, we have not saved enough. We are pushing very hard for federal aid. We fundamentally need federal aid in the city and in the state, as do many other cities and states across the country, to get through this. But we don't know if that's going to happen. And lastly is the PEG program, which is more or less trimming fat at city agencies. And we believe right now that the mayor's executive budget does not do enough of that, and we need a lot more of that. The comptroller over the years has done dozens and dozens of audits of various city agencies, and we found billions of dollars worth of simple savings that we could be using right now in this time to try to slim our budget, to try to get through this. And we fundamentally believe that we are not going in the right direction with this budget as it is happening right now. Of course, the council and the mayor are now in their negotiations with this budget, so we do not know what that final product is going to look like, but we expect to be in a much more severe financial situation over the next coming weeks and months as this pandemic progresses. It is definitely a very challenging time financially for the city and for a lot of people across the city. And we will wait to see ultimately what the council and the mayor come to an agreement on, and I will, of course, be more than happy to come back and provide updates on how that progresses and whatnot. But I definitely appreciate the time. Questions, comments, concerns, I'll definitely take them. But I'm glad to see everyone here and glad everyone is doing well thus far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else in public session?
Jermaine Williams has his hand up. Jermaine?
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's been affected by the coronavirus. I know there's a lot of unsaid words about people who've been in touch either directly or indirectly. So, just got to say condolences there. You're not alone, and we're going to get through this. So real quick, just some sentiments of the controller's office. Again, we're a city and we're always looking for funding and ways to make services available to individuals, and especially now in light of what's going on. We know HRA, Department of Social Services, is going to be really hit with an influx of people coming in, asking for services. So in light of that, we've been working real hard, and our commissioner's been doing web seminars every Tuesday, giving the public, elected officials, and community boards, as well as community partners, information on with updates on the agency, things that we're implementing as far as making changes, and gladly taking concerns that are coming up from the our constituents as well as elected officials, because some things as an agency we possibly would miss. Just in light of just certain things we did, we received a waiver that allowed us to actually have individuals apply for cash assistance online. So it helped us reduce the number of foot traffic and footprints inside our centers, where we can close some to keep workers safe at home. We've been talking about pandemic EBT card. This is a state-issued benefit that for families whose children participated in public school or participate in private school, children for the age between 5 and 18 who were eligible to receive who was able to receive reduced to a half-price lunch. They're going to receive a one-time payment of about $420 for each eligible child, represented for school meals from the periods of March to June 26th. There's no reason to apply for this. The state's pretty much supposed to be reaching out to the Department of Education to get the families. This will not affect public charge for anyone who's undocumented. Again, it's just it's considered a pandemic EBT card to help with situations for people who for families whose children did not receive reduced to half-price lunches during the school session during the pandemic.
Thank you.
Hold on, just a couple of more things real quick. to get it now, I've been getting concerns from people who saying they apply for SNAP benefits or catch this and they haven't received an EBT card. So I'm actually going to put into the comment. I hope it went through. So to get an EBT card, there's information in the comment for people to do this. They could either call 888-328-6399, or they can actually go to www.connectebt.com. And last, that was it. Okay, other than that, sorry, that was it.
That's okay.
So thank you
That's
so
okay.
much,
Thank
everyone,
you.
and have a lovely evening. All right, take care.
And if there are any questions, they'll be forwarded to you from Debbie, okay?
Correct, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else in the public session? Because I will be closing it and get back to two other items that we left unresponded.
Yes, Marcy Bishop from DA McMahon's office.
Hi, how are you, Marcy?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. Just wanted to give you a couple of updates that our office has going on. Due to the cancellations because of COVID-19, we are still keeping all of our community programming in its place. Although we're working from home, we're working hard. Just wanted to mention a couple of things that we're doing on the community front, and then I'll go into some of the public safety front that we have going on. So we have an anti-bullying art and writing contest with students across Staten Island, and we felt it important to keep that going. Although students are doing remote learning, gives them an opportunity to express their feelings, be artistic, and still have a sense of normalcy. We had a pretty good response from students across Staten Island. That's my personal pet project, so I'm proud of that. Then we also created something to keep in touch with the community called RCDA Q&A, and that is a way that the community can send questions or learn information that is going on in the office on our social media. We are on social media at Staten Island DA. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So you can go to our social media and submit questions on any concerns that you have in the community, and we will respond to you. And we also post weekly videos on Friday on topics such as domestic violence, coronavirus scams, immigration issues, and all around public safety. And that's every Friday on our social media. Then we also had a Zoom meeting, Protect Your Business Forum with small businesses across Staten Island and teach them how to keep their businesses safe during this time. And then lastly, I want to just touch on public safety. I'm trying to go quickly. So the DA wrote an op-ed, which I can send to Debbie for her to forward to you all if you're interested, in the Daily News on May 19th. And basically he's talking about how on Rikers Island, they want to release lots of prisoners who are very violent. He is concerned about safety of individuals. However, he's more concerned about our safety. And some of the individuals that they want to release are, have been convicted of or are going to be convicted of murder and horrible crimes. And so he's working diligently to make sure that to keep Staten Islanders safe and keep those individuals in prison. I will send that information to Debbie, and I am here if anyone has any questions. Again, great to see you all.
Thank you, Marcy. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, this is the last call.
From DOB, does everyone hear me?
We can.
It's Frank from Buildings. Hope everybody's doing all right.
Hi, Frank.
Just quickly, as you know, the governor's order is still in place, essential versus non-essential construction. So DOB is still enforcing the essential. DOB is still enforcing non-essential construction. So if any complaints are coming into us, we are going out and looking at those. Any of the essential construction sites, those sites have to apply for a certificate of authorization that has to be posted on the job site. Letting and there's a map on our website as well. If anyone, I've been sending out emails, but if anyone doesn't know, you can go on our website. There's a map. You could type in the address, or you could type in the address, and it'll show you if that job is an essential site. So they could have applied for it. They got approved, such as like a healthcare, food, government facility. Those types are all considered essential. So, but they still have to apply to get that certificate. Any emergency jobs will fall into that category as well. We are enforcing social distancing on site, so we are looking at those as well. And then, hopefully the order starts to get lifted soon. And, we are taking a lot of steps to a lot of our processes that were in paper, that people coming into the office have transitioned over to online. So a lot of it's going through DLB now as well. So we're continuing looking at new processes, how to minimize contact in the office and transitioning those processes over to online.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, so that officially closes out the public session. As I said before, if there are any comments or concerns by any individual board members or the public, please let Debbie know. We will redirect it to the appropriate individual whose concern you needed addressed. So I just want everybody to know that. So we don't have the clipboard, so it's hard for me to gauge where we're going from person to person, so please bear with us. All right, thank you very much. So that closes out the public session. Before we move on to the election notification, I want to address Steve Boyinski's concern regarding the liquor application process that we received. Steve, your point, this isn't the first time, we've spoken about that, especially when we were at Moravian, where the applicants came down with their attorney and we had all these discussions. And I specifically asked at the time, I asked Eddie Salick, and I also asked Jerry and Deborah too at the time. And prior to that, I used to ask Frank Marciano and Dana, when these applications come into the board, I mean, we're really powerless, unless we get some specific complaint about someone raising an issue or something like that. We basically review what's submitted in front of us and pretty much accept it as truthful, because we don't have any oversight. We don't have any legal authority. We don't even have enforcement authority, and it's unfortunate what happened at Juicy Lucy's is terrible. And the guy came to us specifically and made representations to all of us, and none of them panned out, But I'm sure there's other story that we're just not aware of there, But I just wanted you and the rest of the board know that when Debbie gets these, Jerry and Eddie and the team, they do review these and put them through their diligence that we're authorized to do. And that's the way we take those actions. And I'm not sure, Jerry, is there anything else you want to add to that, or Eddie? Because I'm not sure what other authorities we have to do in that regard. Jerry?
I look at the places where they are, and I try to do the best,
we can.
I have a couple of friends in the police department. I ask them if there's any objections, and we go from there.
Yeah, because our track record, on our approval and then the following problems has been pretty, dismal, right? We had Lincoln Avenue, we had Capodanno.
The one on Lincoln Avenue, the last one that we had, is working out fine.
The last one now, but you remember before that?
Before that, of course. I know we never had a business, so.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I just want Steve to know that, these are not rubber stamping these things, and Steve, did you want to say anything about that or any other recommendations if you're still on?
Debbie has her hand up.
Hi, it's Debbie again, Dr. Deb.
Hi.
I don't really want to sound naive, nor do I want to sound like a barfly, but do we have many bars on Staten Island that strictly serve just beer and wine and have music playing?
Restaurants, you mean?
Or is that just a starting point for them?
That's what I thought, yeah.
Not that I know of.
Because I don't know of any place on Staten Island that serves alcohol and it's a choice of wine or beer.
True. That's true.
I just think it's a starting point, and I think they start to add on, and then it escalates into something that people did not want in the beginning.
And then becomes a problem, and they get the phone calls, and then we're coming back to us again, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I think Beefsteak Charlie's was beer and wine back then, and that was in the 70s. That was it.
Yeah. Jerry?
If they're going to go more than beer and wine, they have to come back and renew their application for their license to serve liquor.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know how Juicy Lucy got around that one, but that's a shocker to me.
It is, right? Eddie?
Thanks.
I never heard of them having a cabaret license, so I'll have to look into that.
Exactly.
I'll look into Juicy Lucy as well. Do you run these by, like Ira Gluckman is the new borough commissioner. Do you run these by him prior? Like I know Debbie and I have she would have conversations at certain locations, but do you have like a formal process where you run this by the borough commissioner if you have any questions prior to the meeting?
Unless we get complaints or criticisms from the community.
Okay.
And the application that's submitted, when the boxes are checked about being within distances from schools and churches and stores and children and all those things, So there's no red flags that would go up to say, well, it's called a DOB. Maybe they don't have a CO or something. No, we don't do that. No, unless there's a specific complaint. So I was going to speak to Debbie and Jerry to see what is the actual process to vet these things. I mean, by the time we get them, the attorneys, they come down. I mean, they have it's us,
So we could take this conversation a little bit further. Then.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
Would the borough commissioner want to know about this?
I mean, maybe it's something I can get more involved in, where it had maybe more of the those meetings where they have the approvals. So something that could be an option.
Because when I get our application, I can forward it to you, and you could let me know what you think of it.
Yeah. All right. I'll run this by. I'll talk to the borough commissioner as well. I mean, we could have a further discussion on this.
All right. Thank you.
Process.
Jerry, do we also send them to the local precinct or community liaison?
Well, like I said, I have a couple of friends in our area here that I ask, and they have no objections.
Got it. Okay. Steve Blazinski, are you still on with us? Okay, maybe he left. All right. He'll just have to read our transmission in the public record. All right. So that closes out this issue.
Hold on. Another hand.
Yep.
Karen. It says Karen, but it might be Steve.
Steve.
He's on mute.
Oh. Okay.
Steve, unmute yourself. I did unmute myself. Okay.
All right, good boy.
I'm only worried about one thing. When these applications come through, and it goes through, Robert, I don't mind beer and wine being by the beach. I live on the beach. Okay, I am concerned about the cabaret more than anything.
I know. I know that. You've said that. Wait, Steve, before you go on, did you hear the discussion that we ensued between
Yes,
DO?
I did.
Okay,
I appreciated that from Frank from the building department, and it is something. It is something, and I think, and thank God, I'm a community board member, and I can get to you people, and we can kind of understand these things as they work out.
Okay.
Okay. I want to applaud everybody for that.
Yeah, but I don't know what that does for us for Juicy Lucy, because all the things he promised us, they've done nothing.
Right? I know that, Robert, but we're not, they can promise everything in the world, but that doesn't mean that it becomes true. Okay?
Okay.
They can get a lawyer and they can come in front of us and they can promise the world. We've seen this time and time again. It's not, this started out that there was going to be another liquor license. And the only thing that I put it as prerequisite of this is the circumstances and conditions of that liquor license.
I understand, but I want you and the rest of the board and the public to understand that when we get these things, we take them serious. I mean, we read. Debbie knows, Jerry knows, and Eddie, the whole public service committee there. We really looked at these things, and to the extent we're able to do things, we do. And
I understand we're doing exactly what we can.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay. I think I hope that when and between you and me and the four walls, when June comes or July and the music starts again, that's very going to be exuberant. Okay, that we can just step on this a little bit. That's all I'm asking.
No, that's fine. It's on everybody's radar. It'd be interesting to see if he has a crowd in there in June and July. So that's a bigger issue.
He can join. He can get a crowd. He's not supposed
to.
Well, he can get a crowd. He can get a crowd. That's not even my problem.
Okay.
Just keep the music down into a decibel that's going to be acceptable by the community. And then you can have all the crowds and make all the money in the world. I could care less.
Okay. Noted. All right. Thank you, Steve. I just wanted to make sure you heard what we're trying to do.
I want to thank you, Robert.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So one more open item, Ben, before we get to the big item on the agenda, which are the elections, is Letitia's comments about the homeless shelter on Victory and Bay. For a bunch, I mean, we did get the information today. Debbie did send me several emails, actually a lot of emails with all the backup that I had asked for. And it did come late in the day. But listening to your presentation, Letitia, I don't know if you're still on with us here. I would agree with you that I'm not so sure that that's in this time, in this age, with the issues with the coronavirus and all of the issues that just that occupancy poses to the inhabitants and the local community. I'm not sure that it's a good idea and it's the highest and best use on that without major changes to that whole concept. So unless the board, anyone on the board wants to comment or say something, please raise your hand so the host can see it. But I would otherwise recommend that Debbie, consistent with Letitia's request, that we go on record that we support her and in rejecting that plan for that location, but that we will continue to read the information that was sent to us. But from what I've seen thus far, and from what I've heard, I'm not sure that it's the right thing to do at that location in this time. So having said that, I'll turn back to the host if there's anyone comments or any questions about that particular item. Otherwise, Debbie will be requested to notify Letitia and the authority of the community board two's position.
Nothing.
Thank you. Okay. Debbie, you got that one? Okay. Okay. I guess we're still here. There's still 48 people here. So, okay. All right. Old business. Any other old business? When was the last time we met? I guess it was February, right? Okay. I don't even remember what the last. Anybody, any other old business, please raise your hand and let the host know so we can discuss and address. Okay. All right. So before we go to new business, let's go to item 4. Item 6, actually, nominations for the election of the offices. And the meticulous script in the binder, in the spiral-bound book, is now in the hands of Teresa Troiano. Teresa, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, back to you. Thank you.
Okay, nomination of offices. For chair, Robert Collegio has submitted his name for chair. Are there any nominations from the floor for the chair position?
Nominate Robert Collegio.
Okay, are there any nominations for chair? Are there any nominations for chair? There being none, the position for chair is now closed. First vice chair. Ed Salek has submitted his name for the first vice chair position. Are there any nominations from the floor for the first vice chair position?
I nominate Ed Salek for first vice chairman.
And I second that.
Are there any nominations for first vice chair? Are there any nominations for first vice chair? There being none, the position for first vice chair is now closed. Second vice chair, Antoinette Balzano has submitted her name for the second vice chair position. Are there any nominations from the floor for the second vice chair position?
I nominate Antoinette Balzano.
Okay. Are there any nominations for second vice chair? Are there any nominations for second vice chair? There being none, the position for second vice chair is now closed. Third vice chair, Fred Junta has submitted his name for the third vice chair position. Are there any nominations from the floor for the
Fred Junta for the third vice chair position.
I second it.
Are there any nominations for third vice chair? Are there any nominations for third vice chair? There being none, the position for third vice chair is now closed. Treasurer, Ray Garlisi has submitted his name for the treasurer position.
I second it.
Nominations from the floor for the treasurer position. Are there any nominations for treasurer? Are there any nominations for treasurer? There being none, the position for treasurer is now closed. Mr. Chair, I turn it over to you.
Okay. Are there any nominations for the secretary?
I nominate Teresa Troiano for secretary.
I second the nomination for Teresa Troiano. Are there any other nominations for the secretary? Are there any other nominations for the secretary? Not having any other nominations, the position is closed. Congratulations, Teresa. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, any other nomination or election stuff that we have to do correctly, Teresa? No, we're good?
Doesn't want to say. No, we're done.
Okay, thank you. All right, one item that I was looking over the older agendas, and it wouldn't be a real meeting if I didn't ask Roy Garlisi about the treasurer's report. But as I said in the February meeting, we're giving Roy a pass going forward, and that he does do meticulous accounting for the board, and the report is available at the board office. And if anyone has any questions or concerns or wants to see the arithmetic and the columns and the expenses month to month, day to day, week to week, second to second, just please reach out to Debbie and Roy, and they'll be glad to show you what we have. So I just wanted everybody to know that. But we're not in the interest of full disclosure. Okay. All right, let me go back to the agenda because it looks like, believe it or not, we're down to any new business. Okay, not having any new business. Before I motion to adjourn the next full board meeting.
Wait, Robert, are you there?
I'm here, Antoinette, are you there?
I just want to thank everyone and know that I take your confidence to heart, and I'll always do the best for this community and the people of Staten Island, and I congratulate all my fellow board members, executive board. I had a question, Robert. I don't know if any of our elected officials could answer this question if it's appropriate at this time, but I have a question with this unemployment stuff that my head is boggled, where people are getting more money than they ever would get as workers, and they just don't want to go back to work. Is that a question that could be put out to the floor?
I don't know that we have the horsepower to deal with that. That's a federal and state issue, Antoinette. I don't know what we could do about it. Who's going to object on getting $1,000 a week?
That's nothing we can discuss here.
I think it's more.
I'm sorry?
That's nothing we can discuss here.
Wasn't a discussion. I thought maybe a clarification on the $600. No? If it's not, then it's okay. Where can I go then?
July 31st.
I'm sorry?
I believe it ends in July 31st.
Right.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Aren't they federal? The $600 is federal, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
It's explained so much into federal.
And it might even be extended depending on the economy, right?
Robert, I have one question. If we have a rep from the parks available?
I thought I saw someone from Parks on the list here. Okay, if he's still here?
It was a woman.
Yes, is she still here?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, it's all yours. Good luck.
I'll try my best.
Do you have any idea when they're going to open the golf courses on Staten Island? And the Silver Lake Golf Course is looking semi-in hands under the lease of the city, but the two other courses are falling in disrepair. And does the city have any plans on opening? Because everything's open in Jersey, state courses are open, and I'm wondering what the city is doing with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think so far they're still under the whole phases going on, but I can find out from my office and see if they have any updates on it for you guys and get back to you if you want.
Let Debbie know.
Yeah, especially if their maintenance while the courses are closed.
Yeah, I think the maintenance is up to, because they're concessions on our property, the concession's supposed to be taken care of, but I think since they are shut down because they are a business, that they don't have the maintenance going on, and it is discouraging people from playing. So it kind of helps both ways, but I can get all the details sent over to the office if you'd like, just so you guys have clarification on it.
We'll get back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I lost the agenda, but I think we're up to new business. But before we do that, one more time for new business, is there anyone that didn't get a chance to say something on the board that wants to say something, and raise your hand so the host can recognize you for 45 seconds? Okay. All right, I motion to adjourn. Anyone second it? Nobody? We're gonna be here all night?
I second the motion.
All right.
Good job, guys.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll see you in June. There'll be another link coming out.
Thank you.
We'll be playing golf.
Good job. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. On the bottom right, it says leave the meeting. There's a chat room. What's that chat online? Is that yours?
Chat was very effective. We got some information on the chat.
It did. Okay, good. Very good.
think it was even more effective than
sitting there, right?
person,
Yeah,
actually.
it was. It was pretty good, right? It was. It went well.